Hi, I'm Brendan Bussmann. Thank you again for joining us for ICE 365. I'm joined by Toru and Ayako again to talk a little bit about Japan. Let's dive into process here a little bit and timeline and the regulatory structure. Ayako, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, things are moving forward with the Olympics, but from an IR perspective, what are the next steps leading into the decision, not just at the prefecture level, but the central government level?
Okay, thank you, Brendan. So in this summer, it is the most prefectures will select the operators. And then some operators already have been selected. So our rest prefectures such as Nagasaki and Yokohama, we will see what will happen and who will be selected by this summer. And then later on this October, starting from this October, the national application processes will start, and which will end in the late next year, April. So we will see who most likely Osaka, Nagasaki, Wakayama, Yokohama will likely to apply. But as earlier we discussed, the Yokohama is highly controversial at this point. So we will see what happens with the city.
Very good. Toru, I'd love to hear your thoughts. One of the things that happened last month back in May was the deadline for comments as it related to the regulatory structure. One that has been continually evolving over the course of, really the last 3 years since we passed the IR Implementation Act. What are some of the positives that have been happening with that? What are some of the challenges?
Well, I think it's a sort of a continuing process. Within a week to come, I think Casino Control Commissions will declare what it calls the regulations fixed by the commissions. I don't think there does exist any kind of dialogue between them. But we shall have continuous issues arising from this text of regulations. And there may be some industry talks with the commissions to change and amend some of the elements which needs to be reflected the market's opinions. You have to be very careful with respect to how the tax issues is to be settled end of this year. It's a separate issues where the Casino Control Commission is involved, but how much cost, risks will be involved with respect to the tax, that may attract the attention of everybody when trying to figure out their feasibility of the project in Japan. So it's a continuing process. As Ayako said, it will continue until the end of April, which is the deadline for the application to the state. That will not change.
We've talked about, this process when I first got in. I've been in this now 16, 17 years. Obviously, Toru, you've been involved a little bit longer than that along the way. You mentioned that April deadline will not move. What are some of the next steps after that, from your perspective of how will the central government move forward?
One of the interesting things is that there may be not less than 3 candidatures. If some prefecture drop out, like Yokohama or Wakayama, that means that you have a space of slot of spaces which is available to be fixed later on. So the government may have 3 options. Okay, we're going to decide only one this time, but maybe 2 more, maybe 2 years afterward. They can always choose second round of selection of the sites if there is a remaining lot. So we don't know what's happened, but that would be the likely scenario. If somebody drops out, then the chance will become possible for any local government to try it once again.
Ayako, what do you expect from a timeline perspective after that April decision? Whether, as Toru said, it's 1, it's 2, maybe it's 3, depends on what's left. When do we think, as stakeholders that are involved in the market, as well as those that are watching from the sidelines, when are we going to find out what that answer is of 1, 2, or 3?
Well, after the application period deadline, there will be some selection processes. But it's been said it's most likely the national government will announce the how many numbers, we don't know, but the selected location within the year or so, if the process goes as expected. But I guess the Mihara sensei mentioned, so the government will choose up to 3. So if they pick only 1 or 2, then the remaining what will happen to the remaining slot? So this slot will be when it's going to be available for the maybe some other prefectures such as maybe Hokkaido or Aichi, or maybe some other Kyushu prefecture might be interested in as well. So the such are uncertainty hasn't been clarified yet at this point. So the market is assuming some scenarios, but like it's never been told by the government. But like there is a high, high chance that which have been perceived by such candidate prefectures. So, but like this is some sort of communication has been clarified yet. So what we will see what will happen for this when this national government will make such decisions and when.
One last question as we close out. We've talked about some ambiguity still that may happen with the regulations. We seem on track for the timeline. The biggest question is 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to give you guys the last word. How many IRs will be selected in the end? Toru, you first.
Maybe maximum 3, but for the time being, maybe only 1. That may be the least likely scenario, but it's possible.
Ayako, your thoughts?
My thoughts, eventually 3, but for this time, 1 or 2. The same as Mihara sensei.
I'm going to be bold and close this out with, I'm going to say 2, but the third will come up very quickly on what that'll be. So I've made my prediction long ago, but I want to thank you both for joining us today. Let's all stay in touch, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon in Japan.
Okay. That's
Okay.
awesome.
And good luck with the Olympics.